Picture your grandparents' bed. One mattress, two pillows. Now picture this. For most of history, that image is wrong. Dead wrong. Not because love was missing. Because the bed meant something else. Something colder. Something stranger. Let's take it apart. Here's what almost everyone believes. Married couples share a bed. They always have. It feels ancient. It feels natural. It feels like biology itself. But history says otherwise, loudly. Go back to a medieval farmhouse. One room, one fire, one bed. Sounds romantic, right? Wrong. That bed held the whole family. Parents, children, sometimes a servant, sometimes the family dog. Warmth was survival, not romance. Nobody was thinking about intimacy. They were thinking about not freezing. Now here's the twist. The richer you were, the less you shared a bed. Wealthy couples in medieval and Renaissance Europe often kept separate chambers. His room, her room. A servant to carry messages between them. Separate beds weren't a sign of distance. They were a sign of status. Poverty forced people together. Wealth let them apart. Strange, isn't it? We assume closeness means love. History says closeness often just meant cold floors. Pause here. Because it gets stranger. Jump to the 1800s. Doctors start writing warnings. Sharing a bed they claimed was dangerous. Not morally, medically. One popular idea, sleepers exchange bad air. A healthy person, they argued, could absorb sickness from a weaker sleeper overnight. Some physicians even blamed shared beds for fatigue, nightmares, even early death. Wild claim, but it spread fast. Fear always spreads faster than nuance. By the early 1900s, twin beds became fashionable. 2 mattresses, 1 room. Married couples, side by side, technically together, physically apart. Hollywood cemented the image. For decades, film censors literally required married couples on screen to sleep in separate beds. One foot had to touch the floor if anyone sat on a bed at all. Even fictional intimacy made people nervous. Here's your pattern interrupt. Say this out loud. Twin beds weren't old-fashioned. They were once cutting edge. They were the modern hygienic choice. Progress, 1920 style. Funny how progress keeps changing its mind. So when did the shared double bed become normal? Later than you think. Post-war housing booms shrank homes. Money got tighter. Space got tighter. One bed made economic sense. Advertising did the rest. Companies started selling the shared bed as the symbol of a healthy marriage. Selling closeness, selling romance, selling a product, really. The idea felt ancient. It was decades old. Now for the part that stings a little. Today, surveys suggest roughly 1 in 4 couples sleep in separate rooms or separate beds at least some nights. Sleep researchers even gave it a nickname, the sleep divorce. Dramatic name, boring reason. Usually it's just snoring or mismatched schedules, or one person stealing every blanket in the house. Not heartbreak, just biology. Here's the paradox worth sitting with. Couples sleeping apart today get mocked online. Red flag, people joke. But history would laugh right back. For centuries, sleeping apart was the sign of doing well. Sleeping crammed together was the sign of struggle. We flipped the meaning completely. Same behavior, opposite verdict. Let's zoom out further. Anthropologists studying small-scale societies find huge variation. In some cultures, spouses traditionally slept in separate huts. In others, mothers slept beside infants, not partners, for years at a time. Breastfeeding, protection, warmth, the baby got the spot beside the body. The husband slept elsewhere, sometimes with other men, sometimes by the fire on watch. Sleep wasn't organized around romance. It was organized around survival roles. Who guards, who feeds, who rests? Feel that shift. We think of the marital bed as ancient tradition. It's more like a modern invention wearing an old costume. Here's your pullback to you. Tonight, you'll probably sleep exactly how you always do. Maybe beside someone, maybe not. Either way, you're not failing some ancient blueprint. There isn't one. Humans have slept in a dozen different arrangements across history. Alone, in piles, in shifts, in separate rooms down the hall. None of them is the real way. They're all just dot away. One more twist before we land. Some evolutionary anthropologists argue humans may have evolved for flexible communal sleep. Many bodies, one space, shared vigilance against predators. Not couple-focused sleep at all. group-focused sleep. Safety in numbers, not romance in numbers. If that's true, the couple's bed isn't primal. It's practically brand new. A few centuries old, in a species 200,000 years old. Blink and it barely registers. So why does the myth survive? Because it's comforting. We've always done it this way, feels solid. Feels safe, feels destined. Myths like that don't need evidence. They just need repetition. Here's the real truth, stitched back together. Beds were never really about love. They were about warmth, status, safety, and space. Love just moved in later and made itself very comfortable. So, back to the question. Did couples always sleep together? No. Sometimes poverty pushed bodies close. Sometimes wealth pulled them apart. Sometimes fear of bad air built a wall down the middle of the mattress. Sometimes an infant took the spot instead. The one constant wasn't the bed. It was the adapting. Humans have always rearranged sleep to fit the moment. Maybe that's the real inheritance. Not a shared mattress. A shared talent for figuring it out. So tonight, whatever your sleeping arrangement is, together, apart, tangled, or starfished alone with all the blankets, you're not breaking tradition. You're just doing what humans have always done. Adjusting the bed to fit the life. Not the other way around.